Hey guys, Priji from GeoDesigns. In this video, I'm going to explain and talk about my experience working as a freelancer compared to as a full-time employee. Now, I'm going to explain the pros and cons of each because unlike some influencers like to say on their social media, it's not really all sunshine and rainbows, and each and every one of these options have their pros and cons. Now, I managed to get to what I consider a decent level of success, meaning that I achieved over six figures, both as a full-time designer and when I was freelancing. And the very first thing that I want to talk about is the full-time route, because I personally believe it's one of the best choices for junior designers, especially for the reasons that I'm going to lay down in just a moment. So the very first one is essentially the stability of income. You don't really have to focus on how much money you're gonna make each and every month, so you can have your rent and living expenses covered up, which is a really good thing for mental peace. But even most importantly, for those of you who are starting out, I think it's really good because you can learn from a senior designer or a lead designer, which is essentially going to teach you the ways. And you can definitely start by freelancing, but I remember when I was doing my first internship, for example, I used to work with the lead or the ex senior designer at Sony, and he was a brilliant man, and I learned so much from him in a short amount of time. And I did that as well when I was working part-time and then migrated almost to full-time with my second employer. So this is actually something which is invaluable lessons that you can then carry on and really optimize your workflows for both performance and speed whenever you're doing or migrating to freelancing. So that would be the very first thing to keep in mind. Stability, both in terms of financial stability and also the potential growth or opportunities that a full-time job can give you initially. Now, on top of that, you won't really have to deal with marketing yourself on social media or even doing outreach in order to find new clients, because that can actually be quite a big time suck, and it's something that you don't need to deal with, as well as the taxes as a sole proprietor or setting up a company, doing all the accounting stuff. You don't really have to deal with when you're working full time. But of course, the big catch is that you have all of these pros with two major cons, really. And the first one is that your salary is capped by what you essentially agreed to work on. And secondarily, you're going to have to either work in the office at certain hours or have availability for most of the week, even if you're working remotely, which of course it's a great option to work remotely, or even working hybrid between office and remotely. But usually that comes when you have more years of experience. It's unlikely that junior designers have these opportunities, at least based on my personal experience. I'm sure there's companies out there who do that, but just something to consider. And now, if we move on to the freelancing route, the very big appeal of being a freelancer is that you can be your own boss, as many people like to say on social media these days. And it is true. There are some catches though, meaning that yeah, you can set your own hours, yeah, you can set your own rates, but you're going to have to find the clients. You're going to have to set up your entire business infrastructure, because when you're a freelancer, you're essentially running a business. There's no two ways around it. And most likely you're going to have to do to cover all of the macro areas of the business yourself. such as the accounting, setting up the tax structure. Of course, there's going to be likely accountants that are going to help you, but you're going to have to deal with new things, and you're going to have to basically bring yourself to the market and learn marketing skills and lead generation, which essentially means how to find clients. You're going to have to hop on calls with them and basically set up either contracts for fixed projects or monthly recurring contracts if you are able to do that with the specific client you're finding. So there's more that comes into it. There's more instability, but the cap on your income doesn't exist. So if you are experienced and smart in the way that you set up these systems, you can actually make way more money than working full time. And there's a lot of freedom associated with this because you can actually set up your own hours. So it's definitely something that is a great opportunity, and it comes though with some cons. So I would usually recommend freelancing to designers who already have at least a couple years of experience, ideally, since you already know your craft and you essentially have to focus just on learning the new skills of marketing, lead generation, but you're not dealing with basically having to learn everything, because that can be overwhelming, and I don't think it's an ideal path, but definitely something that it's doable. There's plenty of designers who started out as freelancers and learned along the way, but just things to consider. Now, you can also do a mix of these, and this is something that not many people out there are discussing, meaning that you can leverage the pros of a full-time gig with the pros of freelancing. And this is what I did for a while, which is essentially finding one or two part-time jobs and then freelancing on the side. So you have that stability, that long-term client, but you also have the freedom and the pros of freelancing on this side. So this is another thing that I'll probably discuss in more details in future videos. So I hope this video was helpful, and if you want to learn more about my decade of experience, I'm trying to share it with these videos on this channel, and I'll see you in the very next one.